Hey Pro Wrestling Weekly fans, Ferran Derry here with you. Unfortunately not on the air this week due to high school baseball, but I'm going to do a little something different. It's like a little 5, maybe 10-minute webisode essentially of Pro Wrestling Weekly, just kind of throwing some facts, figures, opinions out there and letting you know everything that went on in the past week in professional wrestling. Of course, this past Sunday we had TNA Lockdown, and my predictions starting to go wrong. We're mostly right. 5-2 for the pay-per-view on my predictions. Makes me 28-18 for the year. I may have to rename the segment if I keep this up. I'm getting more right than wrong. Going over the lineup real quick, of course, Crimson beating Matt Morgan. Of course, all these being cage matches because, you know, it's lockdown. That's how they do these things. Devon, of course, retaining the TV title, beating Robbie E. Gail Kim beating Velvet Sky to hang on to the Knockouts title. Those are the three of the 5 that I got right. Also, Jeff Hardy beating Kurt Angle. I predicted that one right, which could have gone either way. Kind of surprised me a little bit. And Team Garrett, of course, Garrett Bischoff beating Team Eric in the Lethal Lockdown match, which means we won't be seeing much of Eric Bischoff, and we'll be seeing a lot more of Garrett Bischoff. To my surprise, at least a little bit, Motor City Machine Guns couldn't quite get it done against Samoa Joe and Magnus for the TNA Tag Team titles, although it is their return match, so they've got some time to chase it. And the big surprise to me, James Storm not having that moment, not beating Bobby Roode in the cage to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Bobby Roode retains, and now I guess the question is, where do you go with Cowboy James Storm? Well, Impact kind of helped figure that out just a little bit. Oh, and of course we had a bonus match of Eric Young and ODB beating Rosita and Sarita to retain the Knockouts tag titles. What a joke. Unbelievable. Anyway, back to the Cowboy James Storm thing. Looks like he's going to be fading out a little bit. We'll get back into that in just a second. Some other various news and notes. TNA, of course, they're going to have an open fight night. It's going to be a thing with new talent coming onto the show to wrestle in front of a 3-judge panel. If they do well, they'll get a TNA contract. It kind of sounds like it's taking elements of Tough Enough with elements of American Idol or something like that. It's almost like a wrestling equivalent of American Idol. You got me, but it has elements of that tournament that Cowboy Johnny Mantell was talking about on my show a little over a year ago. And speaking of Cowboys, back to James Storm. He cut another killer promo on Impact talking about how his luck had run out. And I don't know, it's nice to see that he's taking some time to let some injuries heal. He did mention that. And it also gives Bobby Roode a chance to move on to a different feud. But revisit this one down the road, kind of like what Strikeforce did. I know, going back to 88, 89, 90, 91. It seemed like every few months they just threw Tito Santana and Rick Martel together, even when they changed their characters and went to the Model and El Matador, but they still kind of had that history that they could go back to, and it looks like they can do the same thing here with the breakup of Beer Money, James Storm and Bobby Roode. In other news, WWE stock, boy did it bottom out. It bottomed out last week at $7.83 a share. That's the lowest since April of 2003. The all-time low, $7.10 a share back in 2002. That's about all I know as far as stocks. I'm going to go the trading places route and just say sell, Mortimer, sell, for those of you who actually get that. Also, something else that a lot of people have gotten, capitalizing on the popularity, Daniel Bryan. He's changed the name of his finisher from the LaBelle Lock to the Yes Lock. Am I okay with this? Yes, yes, yes. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. The yes phenomenon seems to just keep on growing. Even WWE's website talked about how yes has become the new what, as far as the what chants that Austin popularized 10 years ago. Also, Flyer Mania running wild with the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, of course, recording a video for Philadelphia Flyers hockey fans following an incident in Pittsburgh. For those of you who don't follow a whole lot of hockey, Flyers player Scott Hartnell kind of mocked a Pittsburgh fan who looked a lot like Hogan by doing the whole ear cup thing. This was in Pittsburgh, and photographer got a shot of it, and next thing you know, the Flyers capitalizing on it. They put that photo on a t-shirt and then put "What You Gonna Do" underneath of it. So the next logical thing was to reach out to Hogan and have him cut a promo, getting the Flyers fans all fired up for their series with the Penguins. Hopefully they can move on, and well, we'll see what the playoffs hold. A lot of tough teams out there, the Rangers, the Bruins, but that's enough hockey talk. This is wrestling here. And speaking of which, let's take a look back at the Today in Wrestling History segment. Got to have that. We're going to go back to 10 years ago today, April 21st, Backlash 2002, where Hulk Hogan, it's amazing how his name keeps popping up, beating Triple H to win the undisputed World Wrestling Federation Championship only a few weeks before the changeover to WWE, where they told fans to get the F out. And I'll have a whole look back on that coming up in a couple of weeks. The May 5th show, that's actually 10 years to the day of when that happened. It'll be an abbreviated show because we've got Phillies baseball on WBCB. Pregame at 12:30, first pitch at 1:05. But that 25-minute show, call early, call often, give your thoughts and opinions looking back as WWE told the wrestling fans to get the F out. Also, some other things to take note of coming up a few weeks from now. We've got on May 12th, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He's going to be doing autographs and photos over at George's Cards and Collectibles on New Falls Road. I'll certainly be there. That's going on from 1 to 3. I'll, of course, be on the air on the 12th from noon to 1, so you can listen to me as you make your way on there. And coming up next week, the 28th, of course, at the Pennsylvania Armory Guard, Extreme Reunion, a whole slew of folks, the franchise, Shane Douglas, Sabu, the Gangstas, Raven, Rhino, Tracy Smothers and the FBI, Little Guido, of course, part of that FBI group, Balls Mahoney, a whole bunch of, I'll have the full list next week of who's advertised, but that's all going down at the Pennsylvania Armory Guard, just outside of Bensalem in northeast Philadelphia, almost as northeast as you can get before leaving Philadelphia and getting into Bucks County. That's all going on next week, the 28th. A little bit of Facebook feedback as well. Ross from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, he asks, Ferran, could you see The Undertaker going 21-0 at WrestleMania 29, or will he stay 20-0 and retire? Given what we saw at WrestleMania, that literally was the end of an era. I'd be absolutely gobsmacked if The Undertaker, Triple H, or Shawn Michaels ever competed in a WWE or any other ring ever again. That's my thoughts on that. And John from the Northeast Philadelphia, had some scathing remarks about TNA, courtesy of the Facebook page, and of course that's WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. He said, wow, another example of groundbreaking TV. Hulk Hogan and 3 judges will watch a match involving an unsigned talent, and all 4 will vote on whether or not to sign said talent. I mean, it's kind of like when you put an unsigned talent alongside a superstar coach, and they compete for a roster spot. But it's not like that at all. It's not the same one. It's called it's not the same one. It's called NXT. The other is called Open Fight Night, or OFN. They both hold the same regard in that no one will watch and or care. And now the TV title will be defended each week, which opens up the potential of having a title change hands every single week on a taped show. Taped, people. A title will change hands every week, just about. A title that has no value at all will change every week almost. Reading Impact spoilers is almost as bad as watching Impact Wrestling. TNA is garbage. Wow. John, yeah, definitely rather scathing, to say the least, but he brings up a couple of valid points. I mean, there's ripping off of things that go on pretty much everywhere, and I don't know. I guess it's a matter of how can you present the ideas as original or present it as something that'll get people interested. That's probably the biggest thing. Anyway, we're just about out of time. I'm going to sign off here. I'll be back next week with another webisode, and we'll have my predictions certain to go wrong for Extreme Rules, and I'll have that more information about the Extreme Reunion pay-per-view going on next Saturday, the 28th. All that and a bunch more. Tune in to Pro Wrestling Weekly, generally Saturdays from noon to 1 at 1490 WBCB. You can also listen in at WBCB1490.com. And feel free to check out our Facebook page, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. Like us, go ahead and give your feedback. I'll read it on the air or here on these webisodes, which looks like it'll be a new feature whenever I'm preempted. from 1490 WBCB for various sports or other reasons. So we'll see. We'll see what you think. Let me know your feedback, and I'll catch you next week.